So we are on lesson 6-4, which is multiply 2-digit by 1-digit factors. So our work together problem is Toby is painting a fence that is 6 feet high and 52 feet long. What is the area of the fence? Solve using an area model and partial products. So let's begin. Remember, for an area model, it means we need a rectangle. Find the area of something. And we label it by its length, 6, and 52. However, remember this 52, we are decomposing it into its place values. So this isn't really a 5, this is a 50 because of that place value. This isn't a 2, it's 2 1s. So we really have to remember those place values, especially when we get to the harder problems. So now we find the area of something. So remember, area is length times width. And how do we find the area of this shape? Well, what's its length? We have 6 times its width, 50. Remember, when we're doing that, we do our basic math facts. 6 times 5 is 30. And then we add those zeros back on for 300. Let's find the area of this one. What's its length? It's 6 times 2 is 12. And then what do we do with our partial products? Remember, partial products is what we get inside. Those are our answers. The partial products are part of our product. We add them. So 300 plus 12 equals what? It equals 312. Let's head to our next problem now. And our next page, are you going to cooperate? And there we go. So now let's begin with our samples. How can you decompose? Remember, that means break apart the 2-digit number to solve. Complete the equation. So it's not asking us to actually find the answer. It just wants us to break this number down. So we break it down by its place values. This is an 8, this is 80, and this is 2 1s. So we break it down, we decompose into 80 plus 2. Looking at question number 2, what do we have? Well, notice they switched the order this time, but still the same basic idea. So this isn't 9, it's 90, it's 9 10s. And this 1, we decompose it, again, by its place value, so it's a 1 1. Let's head to number 3 now. So we have 76, so that 7 is a 70, 7 10s. That 6 is 6 1s by itself. And our last part. Again, break it down by its place values. This isn't 4, it's 40. And we have 5 1s, 40 plus 5. Remember, these two numbers right here should always equal that number we have up top. Now let's head to our next part. This time we're actually going to be solving our actual area model. How can you decompose the factor? So decompose that factor, that number that we multiply, to find the partial products. Complete the area model equation and show your work. So what do we have here? Well, we have 50. I see that 50 right here. And then we have that 2. So we'll bring that 2 over here. And now we find our area. Notice they already did 7 times 50. So what do we have here? Well, we have 7 times 2, its length. 7 times 2 is 14. And now we're just filling in our distributive model that we have down here. Well, remember, we have 50, and then we have 2. What is 7 times 2? Well, that is 14. And then we have 350 plus 14, we have 364. So if you had 364, you had it correct. Now let's look at this next part. We have 96, so we're breaking that 9 up into 9 10s. Remember, that place value is not a 9, it's 9 10s or 90. And that 6 they already filled out for us. What is 4 times 9? Well, that is 36. And we're adding 1 0 on. So we're sliding at one place value over, so we have 360. So now we're going to fill out. Well, we're breaking that 9 up into what? We're breaking that 9 up into 90 and 6, which we already have. Then what is 4 times 90? Well, remember, we already have that up here, so we can either do it again or just copy our answer down. And then our last part, 360 plus 24 is 384. Let's head to problem number 7. So notice this one, they left most of the area model blank. So let's see if we can figure it out. Well, we have 4 here, so that's 4 10s or 40. And we have 7 here for 7 1s. What is 5 times 4? Well, that is 20. And then we add that extra 0 on for 200. Same thing here. What is 5? Since this is the same size as this, is 5 times 7. 5 times 7 is 35. Okay, now we're going to fill out. Well, again, we're just decomposing. 4 is 40, and 7 is 7 ones. What is 5 times 40? Well, again, we have that answer up here, or we could just solve it again. It's 200. What was 5 times 7? Well, again, we have our answer up here, or we can solve it again. Either way, we have 35. And our last part is we add them. What is 200 plus 35? It's 235. Let's head to number 8 now. Okay, number 8, we have that 3 on the side, which we see right here, and then we're breaking that 29 up into 20 and 9. And now we just repeat. What is 3 times 2? That is 6, and we add that 0 for 60. What is 3 times 9? That is 27. So now we just fill our problem out. Well, we broke that 29 up into 3 times 20 plus 3 times 9. And we multiply. 3 times 20 is 60. 3 times 9 is 27. And our last step is we add. 60 plus 27 is 87. So let's head now to our back page. I remembered how to switch it much faster this time. So now we're at question number 9. Maya is looking for crystals in a dry stream bed. She's collected samples from a region that measures 8 meters wide. So let's start with our box since it sounds like we're describing something. So it's 8 meters wide and 84 meters long. What's the area of the steam bed she has searched? Remember, we break this up into its place value. So we're going to break it up into 80 and 4. And now we do our multiplying. What is 8 times 8? Well, that is 64. And then we add that 0 on. So 80 times 64 is 640. Our next part, what is 8 times 4? Well, that is 32. And our last step is we add our partial products together. So we add 640 plus 32, we get 672. And then since we have our units, meters, let's just finish it up and put meters squared. That's our area that we're searching in. Number 10. Greg is getting stone blocks for building project. There are 6 blocks, each weighing 53 kilograms. What's the total weight? Well, if you did it the old school way, like you did in 3rd grade, we would have 53, and we would just have to add that 6 times. But now, since we are in 4th grade and not 3rd grade, we can use our area model. So I start with my rectangle, and it has a length of 6. We have 6 groups, and what are we multiplying it by? 53. So we're breaking that 53 up into 50 and 3. Remember, if I were ever to add my top parts together, it should always equal that number I started with. So now, what is 6 times 5? 6 times 5 is 30, and we add that 0 on. Then our next step, what is 6 times 3? That is 18. And now we add them together, we have 318. And since they gave us our units, we just want to put our units down as kilograms. Let's head to our next part now, which is our last one. Extend your thinking. Marco made a curtain for the school stage. It was 9 feet high, so 9 feet high, and 112 feet wide. How much fabric did he use for the curtain? Well, maybe you noticed, hey, this is a 3-digit number, and our lesson's only on 2 digits, and you are absolutely correct. However, we still have all the math we need to be able to solve it. Instead of it being broken into 2 place values, we just break it up into 3. We have our hundreds, so that is 100. We have our tens, which is 110. And we have our ones, which is 2. And now we could do our regular multiplying. What is 9 times 100? That is 900. What is 9 times 10? That is 90. And our last part, what is 9 times 2? Well, that is 18. So now when I add them all up, since I have 3 numbers, I'm just going to actually write them out instead of trying to do it in my head just to make sure I don't make a mistake. 8 plus 0 is 8. 0 plus 9 plus 1 is 10, so I regroup. 9 plus 1 is 10. And then since we have our units, how much fabric did he use? Well, he used that many square feet, or we write it as feet squared. So again, we knew all the math, we're just adding an extra place value to it. We discussed our reflect in class, so you guys are good to go. Excellent job.